Namaste, you guys. This whole week, I've been inspired by the river. And at the beginning of the week, it started off with a lot of core work. I shared so many different variations of Navasana, which is the boat pose. And we worked on that a lot, both in the blissful and the gentle. And I even shared the myth behind the pose. And then yesterday, we started considering and being contemplative about Rumi and how he said, when you do something from your soul, you feel a river running through you, a joy. And I'm still going to stick with this concept of the river for today's practice, because this is our last live practice for the week. Sorry, my dogs are getting frisky. What I want to focus on today is the fact that, we talked about a river having those calm and peaceful moments. And then we also talked about water can have this like fierce, strong force to it. So I want you to consider how just like water can carve its own path, literally carving canyons, we should be able to carve our own path and to become like the river that way. And so with Yin Yoga, Yin really is tied in with the element of water, because these poses are meant to be more passive. So consider this idea about how you're trying to carve your own path. How do you, carve your own decision making, and the fact that we're all special and unique individuals with our own gifts and medicines, our own talents and gifts, our own special ways that we can be of service and play a part in our own community and families. So you'll see behind me, I'm just going to be using a blanket today, and I had it spread out wider than the sticky mat for a good purpose, because we're going to start off in half frog. I'm going to show you that pose, and then I'm going to put my dogs in another room because they're getting loud. So I want you to start off on your belly with your left knee coming up. Try not to hike it higher than your hip, even if you have the flexibility. Really, it's meant to be in line with the hip or lower. Your foot is also going to flip to the inside, big toe side, and it's going to be off the mat as well. We'll splay the arms wide and come down to the right temple and cheek. So go ahead and align your body that way, and I'll be right back. So now that you've been settling into your body, just allow yourself to connect to the earth. Face planting down on the right side of the face. Closing the eyes. Recognizing how this is opening up the energetic pathways that travel through the inseam of the arms, as well as the inside of the left leg. This does provide a release for the psoas muscle. And I want you to do some deep belly breathing. Noticing the belly swelling on the inhale. And retracting and softening on the exhale. Remember, this deep belly breathing is good for digestion. and helping to move things along. As you continue to breathe in a diaphragmatic way, also scan from your back foot up to the fingertips, ensuring that each and every bone, muscle, and tendon is letting go. Noticing if, when, or where you have any resistance to the position or to the aspect of letting go. Follow the breath in, and equally follow it back out. Breath pulling in, breath pouring out. This deep belly breathing is also good for stress relief. To allow any mental or physical tension to begin to melt and dissolve away. On your next inhalation, let's go ahead and slowly lift the face. Walk the forearms in so the elbows are stacking underneath your shoulders. They're laid out to be parallel like Sphinx arms. Your palms are turned down. And just give a little extra lift to your breastbone, as well as the crown of your head. If it's difficult to gaze straight forward for your neck, you can still lengthen your neck, but give it a little bit of an angle so your drishti is set forward and down. Notice the bend you're getting in your low back. This is in close proximity to the location of the kidneys and the adrenal glands. The kidneys are also related to that element of water. The adrenals are part of the process when stress hormones are released. It also helps with mental alertness. If this becomes challenging or painful for any reason whatsoever, then give yourself permission to walk the elbows ahead of your chest and lower your head to prayer hands. that should relieve some of that pressure. Continue to breathe well and deep. Deep and slow. Slow and rhythmic. If I didn't mention to you earlier, we're going to be straight up yin today. Since we're closing in on the Lion's Gate and the new moon. Now we're going to take another back bend. So I'm not worried about holding this one any longer. Go ahead and slide your left leg back. And please don't feel like the legs need to be knit or close in proximity to each other. They can actually splay out a little bit since this is more of a yin approach. Your hands are going to dial left and right towards the corners of the mat. And you can slide them out as far as you need to find that just right position to build yourself up a little bit higher. So notice this is called seal in yin. Notice the primary foundation is the pubic bone, not just the hands. And you may start to feel a little bit more weighted there, which is another good reason to have a blanket below. Again, if this back bend is too much for you today, you can bring the elbows out in front of you and bow the head to prayer hands. Close your eyes in this one. Bring in some mindful meditation. The technique for this mindful meditation is just witnessing the breath and counting them one by one. Taking the time as you breathe in and out so the breath isn't rushed. And do it 7 rounds. The end of the 7, you can bring it down more towards the chest in order to slide the hands back to push up to all 4s. We're going to bring the big toes together to touch, and we're going to slide the knees wider apart. We're going to flip the hands open, but we're going to have the left hand actually in front, and we're going to slip and slide the arms through and bow down. So basically it's tadpole pose with shoelace arms. Now, it's okay if your head doesn't actually come all the way to the floor. But if you want to bring a bolster or a block to rest the head on, you absolutely can. The arms that are thread are really kind of trapped in between your chest and your chin. So basically under the throat, below the collarbones. And take time to go within. This pose is really promoting that. You guys may have seen the pictures and things that you can get in stores now that say family rules, and then it has a list of things underneath it. I saw one the other day that said river rules, and one of those ideas was to send out positive ripple effects. Another example was learning how to let go. And then another piece of it said, be self-reflective. So this is a good pose to practice self-reflection. What in yoga we call swadhyaya, self-study, self-inquiry, self-reflection. Slowly begin to lift the face up. Slide your arms closer together. Bring the knees closer together, and we're just going to stay close to the ground. We're going to come forward again to that prone position. We'll slide the right knee up, flip to the inside of the right foot. Bring the arms into the winged position, and then turn to rest on the left cheek and temple. So doing a half frog. This is where you can come back to diaphragmatic breathing, focusing on how the belly should have movement. Expanding on the in-breath, relaxing on the out-breath. Maybe even cross-comparing the previous side to this side. Is there more or less sensation? More or less acceptance? More or less flexibility? Scan through your body. Make sure you're not holding, gripping, or contracting anywhere. Sometimes that begins whenever we start to think about something. So try to clear your mind. We're going to bring the forearms back in on the next inhalation. So we're doing this kind of hybrid pose of frog and sphinx. working on hips and heart. Remember, you can always modify if this side becomes too much. And the eyes can be open or closed. Remember, our bodies consist of over 70% water. And think about how water can flow under things, over things, through things, and around things. Sometimes we can duck to avoid conflicts or obstacles. Sometimes we can hurdle over them. Sometimes we have to meander and find our way around it. And sometimes we just have to go through it. Patience, persistence, and perseverance is key. On your next in breath, let's slide the right leg back. Again, the legs don't have to be closely knit. The hands are going to dial away, sliding forward to give ourselves a prop up. And I noticed that I was just kind of gripping in my glutes. So if you're doing that, try to release. Notice if your breath gets restricted. If it does, you may want to do the modification, lowering to prayer hands. Let's invite that mindful meditation back in. Watching and following the breath and counting them one by one until we arrive to 7. Seven is a highly spiritual number. Think about the 7 days in the creation story, 7 days in a week, 7 main chakras in the body or in our light body. Once and until you complete the 7, we'll bring it down towards the chest. The hands will slide back so that we can press up. The big toes come together to touch and the knees will splay open. This time the palms are open, but the right hand is farther out in front, and you'll slide the arms through for shoelace to the other side.
A prop can come in under your head if you need it. Just as there are 3 energetic channels moving through the interior side of the arms, there's also 3 to the outside of the arms, and that's what we're targeting here. Your hands may or may not touch the floor, but as you relax, the fingertips should naturally curl in. If you begin to get lost in thought, you may notice that 1 or more fingers extend. Use your breath to stay anchored in this moment. Use your breath to move into that quiet space between thoughts. Inhale will slowly start to rise. When we rise, we're going to actually come forward and we're going to stand the hands on the front side of the blanket and the feet are on the back side of the blanket so that we can curl the toes and take a downward facing dog. Now, I know this pose is a more active pose, but we're going to lengthen out the limbs. We're going to bow the head between the arms. We're going to fly up through the seat so we can gain the benefits of being inverted. This will also prepare us for the next sequence. Let's take 1 cleansing breath. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe it out through your mouth. Now, your left knee and shin are going to come forward behind your hands. It looks like we're going towards swan or pigeon, but we're not. We're going to plop down to the left hip and slide the right knee up And notice how we can still be kind of collapsing and leaning to the left. So try to build yourself up where the head's over the heart and the heart's over the pelvis. Turn in the direction of your left shin and ankle, and then slowly walk it out. So this is deer pose. You can use your arms as a shield or a brace. You can bring blocks or bolsters to set your forearms to. And if you have a deeper range of motion, you're certainly welcome to lower down more.
On the next inhalation, we'll slowly begin to exit. Take your time because we were in that for a bit. You're going to pick up that right foot now and kind of swing it around in front of you. We're going to try to go for double pigeon or fire log. Now, I'm saying try because I just did a class at Unity, and the gap was bigger than it is right now. And I had a challenging time even folding forward in this. If you can't double stack your shins, ankles, and knees, please cross your right foot over to the floor and just do your best. We're going to press down through the fingertips, elevate the crown of the head. And again, checking in, because sometimes this is all we need. Otherwise, you can attempt to hinge forward from your hips. Take your time, finding your edge, wherever that may be today. And it's okay that that edge changes from day to day. The levels of water, in a river change from day to day. So usually when you go to Fall Creek Falls, one of our state national parks, there's like 5, I believe, waterfalls and, rivers and creeks. But a few years ago, I led a yoga retreat out there, and it was right after a drought. And it's the first time I had ever been to that state park, and there was no river, you guys. It was dried up. You could just walk right across the pebbles. And the typical waterfall, there was just a tiny little stream. Working into the hips is working with the second chakra. The second chakra relates to that element of water. And one of the spiritual lessons is learning how to adapt, as well as learning how to let go and go with the flow. Let's take 3 cleansing breaths, breathing in through the nose. Exhale audibly through the mouth.
2 more. Last one for now. We'll back away and lean to one side, swing the legs back, transfer to hands and knees, curl the toes under, and return to downward facing dog. Set up for the pose and find success with your breath. Feels good straightening the legs out after those last 2 postures. So let's be here for 3 more rounds of breath. And let your last one be a cleansing breath. Then we'll bring the right knee and shin forward. Go ahead and drop the left knee. Cautiously just, lean down on your right hip. Your left knee can slide up more if that feels better. And then, if you're still leaning to the side, try to make the spine more vertical if you can. Head over heart, heart over pelvis. Facing your right shin ankle. Keep the spine elongated as you start to come forward and down. Feel free to build up props below to stack on. Or, of course, you can just pour on down. Let's inhale, slowly start to rise. We're going to move towards that double fire logger pigeon. So that means the left leg is going to come around. It's okay if you're kind of corner on your mat, unless you just want to turn. Noticing the difference. And then pushing down through the fingertips, lifting up through the crown of the head. Exhale, tip forward. Find where you need to be on this side. And celebrate the fact that everything doesn't always match up. I mean, I was telling the last group, imagine if every single restaurant had the exact same design, had the exact same menu, with the exact same recipes, the exact same ingredients. How boring that would be. There would be no variety. Same thing amongst people. And if we were all clones of each other, how boring that would be. Life is interesting when there's variation. And it makes the practice interesting when we're getting to learn a little bit more about ourselves. And we'll take 3 cleansing breaths to complete this pose. Inhaling through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. 2 more rounds. Last one. Slowly build it up. When you build it up, you're probably going to want to slide your legs out. And then if you can sit up tall, you can stay here. If you need to come back to a cross-legged position, that's okay. But we're going to lift the arms up into the winged position, and we're going to twist to one side and then the other. So we're going to end with just a little twisting Kriya here. I was going to end with waterfall pose with the bolster, and I forgot to bring my bolster into the room. So we'll end with a twist. Usually it's good to end with an inversion or a twist. Let's come back to center, relax the hands to the lap. And this blanket that you have spread out, go ahead and fold it up
So it's a little thicker, and we'll use it for Shavasana. So we're going to do the pentacle pose for Shavasana, which is where your legs are spread out, about as wide as your mat. Some people like to go wider, but I don't like going wider than this. Obviously, you can experiment with yourself. And then the arms splay up. Not straight up alongside the ears. They're also kind of spread out. And the blanket you could put over your belly. It's helpful with grounding. And if you set up for this pose and it's just not what you need today, then you can create an alternate position. Close the eyes. Settle into your body. And drop down into your heart. I want to share with you something I read that says, advice from a river. Learn how to go with the flow. And remember to immerse yourself in nature. Slow down and meander a while. See if you can navigate around obstacles. Be thoughtful of those downstream. Stay current. Let your worries float away. Relax, reflect, and make memories. And remember, the beauty is in the journey. Hearing the sound of the bell tone, just take a moment to deepen your breath. Maybe wiggle the fingers and toes. Removing the blanket from the belly, hugging the knees in. Give your back some love and rock side to side. Eventually turning to one, coming up for a seat. And drawing the hands to Anjali Mudra. Placing them here with an attitude of gratitude for being able to participate in this practice, for the benefits we've received, and for the fact that yoga, mindfulness, and meditation has stood the test of time. The light within me honors and bows to the beautiful light in each of you. Namaste.